So I'm going to try to explain why young people, especially nowadays in the modern world, are feeling more like a doomer, let's say like that, and why they feel doomed, and why they see like there's no meaning, life is an absurd and stuff like this. You know, I think that love is very important. You know, and I think love is actually the foundation of humans, and that without love, humans are lost. And so, when I think about how young people are communicating today, and their social skills and social integration and accepting of others, I really think about love, and you know in all of the spectrum, and uh, the deficit of it, of course, and when there's no love and when there is love, you know. And of course, we can blame a lot of systems and a lot of people for that. We can blame the parents, we can blame the school, we can blame the government. But if we go back, like really go back, even like long time ago, okay, we can still see that there is something that is like a glue to humans, to humanity actually, and that thing is love. Now, on the concept of love, of course, there will be a lot of people that might disagree or agree, and there might be a debate. They could debate, on all of the things, which is love, which is not love, which is true love, which is not. But it's the lack of it that actually very often leads to really bad consequences. And I think if a young person lives and grows, in an environment that has no love, then it's very easy actually for him to see that there's no point in life, there's no meaning, you know. And what I'm trying to say, and to just kind of puzzle it up and display it in this particular case, is that I think that a human without love is like lost element, you know. And of course, even the most hateful people were once craving love or had a deficit of love. And I think this is something that it's actually it's worth it to uh, emphasize and to even invest into it. Even for early age, in the family, first in the family circle, how they communicate, what is love, how does love affect children, and whether the parents love the kid but also love each other, because uh, mom has to love dad, right? This is displayed love, it's needed. And if we just shape it a little bit and just go for further, a little bit further, and let's go for the kindergarten, and there you see a different system. There you see a different kind of a thing, that there are other kids, like you, and there are other adults like your mom and dad, right? But they don't behave the same way as your family. No, they have a different set of discipline and goals, of course. But anyways, if we just go for this particular case in this kindergarten, and we see how it functions, and the kid is just in that environment, it gets shaped. Everything is shaping. Like literally, their emotions, their mentality, their behavior, everything is shaped in this group. Every day, each day. And let's say, for example, that there is no love in kindergarten, which is a terrible thing, truly a terrible thing. Imagine the teachers are like really awful, and they yell at the kids and they scream and they beat them and they do only bad things. They make them feel scared. They threaten them and they don't give them to eat and stuff like this. Now, this is a very extreme case, and of course, it's on the other part of the spectrum. Now, imagine how the mentality of the kid or the kids in this group might change. Regardless that in the family there is love, right? Let's put it like that. The family is perfect and there's love, but then they're in a different set of events. That they're in a different system, a system that is created by someone else. It's not you. And then there is a strong lack of love, for example. Now, these kids might feel like you know uh love is a bad thing. That thing, it's the family, it's not a good thing, right? Or they might feel like hate is the only thing that they need to be processing, and that hate is actually the natural state of humans. That's how it's supposed to be done in their head. Like when they see the teachers fighting and screaming and beating. Now that's mechanism, how to handle, how to cope with stress and how to cope with situations. Now, let's go a little bit further. When it's the school years. So we start with the first grade, and the kid is kind of a weird. It feels weird. Because again, it's in a different situation, different system, even bigger system. More people are involved. There in that school, the environment is like, let's say, even worse. Because we started going in the extremes, right? So the kindergarten is it's very hateful. It's full of bad things, and there is no love. So they go in school, right? So there's even more hate, but it's not limited just for the teachers, let's say, but also the other kids. So these kids, it's kind of a battlefield. It's kind of like you're in war. And there are these kind of small camps. That they start, you know, function like a system, like different small systems. There are the teachers that they're one way, there are teachers that are other way, and then we have the smaller groups, where a group of, let's say, children, or set a point, and they are like the bullies, the ones that bully others, and they beat them, they're hateful towards them. And then we have the group that is kind of softy, they're just afraid and they don't want to fight, they just want to hide and stuff like this. Then we have some kind of a middle, like a middle platform on which they descend. Sometimes they bully, but most of the time they're just like chill. It's whatever. So imagine you're one of the children that were bullied, and it's constantly under a hateful manner, and there's no love. you know so if we count it up, you know in kindergarten, it starts, there's hate, there's that, there's this. Then you go to school, which is an even bigger hate. And remember, this is the extremes. I'm not saying, that everywhere is like that and everywhere will be like that. I'm just trying to explain it, for me, from my point of view, why there are so many people that feel like there's no meaning in their numbers. So we go back to that topic, and again, we're just witnessing something that is about love, because human brain, it like really feels affection towards love, so it's needed. I mean, in order for us to develop normally and be social and be good, we need love. and not just to receive it, but also to give it. Okay. So in this particular case, we just kind of miss the opportunity to give love to the children, children. And in this particular case, there are some children that take it easily and others that take it like very heavy. There are people who are like, more prone to depression and others who are like more positive. Okay. There are kids that when they are presented with hate, they just cry, and hide. And there are others that will fight with you. Okay. People are different, and that's a beautiful thing. But still, you know, in the deficit of love, there are always issues. It's not okay. It's not nice. So when I say that, for me, love is the foundation of humanity, I mean exactly that. And it's needed to be everywhere. And we all are responsible for that. No matter where you are, and who you are, of course. And it doesn't really matter if you have a kid or not. Because, uh, we can be a role models. When we are outside, and you're just minding your own business, or you're driving your car, or you're going to the shop, there are kids everywhere, and imagine you're just a simple dude, you just like driving cars, okay, and you're just I don't know, you don't like rules, okay, and there's a mother with her kid, walking on the street, and you're just annoyed by them because you wait for them to cross the street and you just want to drive fast and to be nice, and cool. You're gonna upload your new Instagram story how you drive fast, and then you start swearing at the mother and the kid is there. The kid can't hear all of this, and then you keep saying bad things towards her, and you look at her like an evil bull or something like this. And then the kid, eventually just hears that. It's exposed to hatred. It's hateful. When you're outside, it's supposed to be a very safe environment for the kids, because, like I said, love is in the foundation of humanity. And I think the only way we can counteract, the doom generations and people who feel suicidal or like there's no meaning and there's no point, it's actually by giving them love. And not just, but also stimulating them to give us love, you know? And, just to avoid all of these debates about love, it's not about always, uh, romantic love. Here I speak about just normal human relations and show love, Because I just, when I think about it, for example, for people who are Buddhists or people who just do bad things or killers, sometimes, of course, I think that in the fundamentality, unless it's clinical, of course, some psychopath or something like this, it's a lack of love, Because I have never seen or talked to any kid that is presented with love and wants to harm others. Okay? They do not want that. And that's a normal thing. I have never spoken with parents that are good people and that they love each other and they love people that have taught their kid to always be mean to others. Okay? So yeah, I think that the only way we can evade people feeling like there's no meaning and like there's everything is meaningless is by giving them love in the beginning, in the beginning of their existence, even from day one, even before that. And I think that a lot of people might take it in, in the wrong way, and like we should not be soft, because they will be soft and stuff like this. This is not correct. It's not correct because, you know just because you know what love is and how to give it and receive it, it doesn't mean you will be like some soft person that will be not be able to set boundaries and allow anything to happen to him. Okay, it's actually the opposite. When you truly know love, you do know that you need to set boundaries in order for everything to work correctly and possibly, with a good end. So yeah, I think this is probably more of a uh, perspective of a younger person. But yeah, I think this is kind of a root, kind of the root of these things. And I think once you have love in your life, and everything will be way easier, you know, and you will be able to go through all the things. But when you lack love, anything can trip you out and can make you fall. And sometimes that falling actually is you turning into a bad guy or a bully or school shooter and do bad things, you know, because love does never harm. Real love is there to support people and to make them stronger and to make them who they are, who they want to be. So yeah, I think this is my explanation, and yeah.